Good Friday afternoon to you. I am Chris checking in live with the Wiley Report. I had not done one in quite a while. Sorry, life has been life and with. Sorry, my lips are all ashy. I don't know if I'm hungry or greedy. Who knows? Anyway, let's start that again. How y'all do? How y'all do? Hope you're doing well. This is Wiley Report, where I'm going to chat about reflections for the week. I haven't done one in a while. This week has been a lot. Things I learned about myself where it's been really quiet at home. So embracing the silence of listening to your thoughts, of just the stillness, in life, and just using that time to revitalize, reconnect with yourself. I often think you are your star player. So you have to check in with yourself and see how you're doing and do self-care. Reach out to others, when you're thinking about them. Even if, you are home alone or you're by yourself, whatever, you get the opportunity to reach out to others and be like, hey, how you doing? Remembering you and who you are and what matters most. I think that is always deeply, deeply important. What else happened this week? This week, class-wise, and intersectional pedagogies was interesting because we talked about archives. Like, what does it mean to actually have an archive? Or what does it mean exactly when we think about people, groups, communities that their voices were silenced? Like when you think about, like, I think it was Sadia Hartman was one of the writers this week was talking about archives and talking about like how the Black woman's voice in an archive was not necessarily featured. Uh, and not just solely Black women, but I think, if we're going to be honest about Black communities and Blackness, how in many archives we know, I won't say, yeah, we know insignificant things, but we don't necessarily hear their voice or hear their story or hear enough of their stories. And just thinking about what does that mean in greater context, metaphorically and or in real life. And what does it mean to collect information? What does it mean when we talk about knowledge? Knowledge, whose voice, who gets to say things as it relates to everyday life? Most in addition to that conversation, student toward the end had talked about an article. I think it's by Clint Smith. It's featured in The Atlantic, and it's about what the U.S. Can learn about Germans' remembrance of the Holocaust. I'm probably paraphrasing this completely wrong, but that is the subject of it. They're talking about the Holocaust. They're talking about Germany's remembrance of it. It's a beautiful piece, beautiful, beautiful pictures, imagery. The writing on it is absolutely excellent. And we were talking about it toward the end of class because we were talking about the idea of remembrance. Because when we think about archives, whether you're talking about people that are enslaved or you're talking about indigenous cultures or just things that are of value, how do we remember people? How do we remember what's important? How do we remember those things? And how do you remember it when people have experienced beauty and violence, or in the case of, we think of slavery, in the case of the Holocaust, genocide. What does remembrance look like? And not just solely those two experiences, but just thinking about history in itself, or what people remember most about an event, a period of time, or things, related to that. And I think the article was trying to share that. I won't share what the article is trying to share. I really won't. You got to read it. You got to read it. It's a good article. Why do I think the U.S. that struggles with memory and events? I think the United States struggles with memory and remembrance, specifically because they were talking about, like, it's slavery is what they were talking about. I think the reason why the United States struggles with that is because the United States will not state what is truth in relationship to those events. It's so varied. You can't even get the United States to state that racism exists, or is the United States a racist country? That was, some time ago. And when I say some time ago, I mean probably within the last 2 years, and continues. You can't get people to really state in truth that the Constitution is a pro-slave document, because somehow when you say those things out loud, there's this thought that somehow you're discounting the beauty, the history, the semblance, the excellence of the United States. And my thoughts are, no, you're not. More than one thing can be true at the same time, and things do not have to necessarily be mutually exclusive. And the reality is that people can have varied experiences, whether we're talking about an institution, whether we're talking about a country, whether we're talking about a people and a person. If you ask two people in any event, their experiences, they may not be the same. They just might not. One person might be, this was amazing. Another person might have something totally different. Doesn't mean that they're lying. It just means they see it. They're what they actually experienced is not necessarily similar. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's honor in understanding truth in those areas. That's just what I think. Fight me on it later. Anyway, what are we reading? We are reading. I got to get out my books because we're reading amazing things. We're reading Weapons of Math Destruction. This is talking about Kathy O'Neill opening the curtain on algorithms that exploit people and distort the truth while posing as neutral mathematical tools. Think about it. I often think socially when we're out on these social streets, we're really arguing between true and truth. Truth is universal and unchanging. True, it might be true today, but it might not be true tomorrow. Then we also have the intersectional internet. This is excellent. I am still reading this. Race, Sex, Class, and Culture Online. I did a whole podcast video on chapter 1. So go to the Wiley Report on YouTube and you can see that. Great book. Also, just came today. The intersectional tech, Black users in digital gaming. It says intersectional tech is a groundbreaking contribution to the growing body of work on race and technology. Gray weaves together incisive structural critique with a nuanced handling of the daily life and experiences of Black games. We see how oppressive systems are stood up and circulated in gaming, yet also never lose sight of the continued ways people push back, create sustainable communities for themselves, and seek to dismantle these systems. So it's by Kashana L. Gray. Professor Gray is an assistant professor in the Department of Communication and Gender and the Women's Studies program. Wait, is she here? Is she here at the University of Illinois? Let me look that up. Hold that thought, because I'm like, wait a minute. I had to go look, right? No, I don't think so. I don't know. Oh, no. Sorry. That was University of Illinois, Chicago. There you go. I was like, wait, Urbana-Champaign? Wait a minute. No, Chicago. Okay, cool. Great. Had to look that up. But that's what we're reading. Versions of that. I don't have it with me, but I'm also reading The Scholar Denied, which is about W.B. Du Bois. That's pretty good. I'm really focused on chapter 2. That's talking about race and sociology, because my interests are race, ethics, policy, and governance. So that's all I got. I really don't have anything. I'm excited about the holiday week to recharge and rest, as well as to finish, 1 to 2 little deadlines before Wednesday. But I'm excited today because I've been dragging my ass. I said it, dragging my ass on finishing up this article that's in the revision stage. And I did like one day last week or something. And then I started Tuesday. And then I've basically been finishing it. And today, in the writing group, I got the introduction and the literature review really revised and cleaned up. So now I can really focus on, and I also worked on the reference section, as well as deleting things that I wasn't citing or I cut from the literature review. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really really excited that I got that done, because it's like, ooh, when I tell you I did that study before the world shut down, and it's taken me that long to get it out, and I've had at least I think 2 to 3 articles that came out before I even finished that one. It's like, ooh, it's like I'm over talking about it, and I just want to move on so I can not move on, but yeah, move on, but close it so I can be like, hey, I've talked about this. Now I can move on to talking about other things. So I'm trying to get that out next week, back to the journal publisher, and move on to the next thing that I'm working on. So it's also the end of the semester, trying to get that, mojo together to finish, your last assignments. I got to do an annotated bibliography for intersectional pedagogies, a class that you would design. So maybe it's not annotated bibliography. I said that wrong. Yeah, I'm doing a syllabus for a course that you would teach. The annotated bibliography is something that I'm looking forward to for the spring semester. I was literally talking about that in my writing group. But my annotated bibliography will be about my reading list for my qualifying exam that will be in the fall. But the course syllabus is what I have to work on creating. And also applying for this fellowship opportunity in New England. So got to figure out how I will do that, what all I will say. And that's what I'm working on, is the student me. I hope this message is helping you. What you working on? What are you looking forward to about the holiday season, about your life in general? Feel free, encouraging your spirit. No, not that one. Wiley Report at gmail.com. Encouraging Your Spirit is another podcast that I do. It had 197 downloads, and I was supposed to do chapter 2 of the book. I brought it here, but I just didn't get to it. But I'll do that tonight and post it. So let me know what's going on with you. What's happening in your world. Wiley Report, gmail.com. All right. Thank you for listening. Peace.